the Forest. We are going to talk
Okay.
about this album.
Yeah.
And this album feels like a warning and an invitation at the same time. So
hmm
when did you realize this idea had to become a full album?
Uh, well, actually, that whole, to name it that, and that idea, that came together in the end of it. I think going back to Feathers and Flesh with us, every other album has been either start with an idea and get the result, or just make stuff and see what it ended up being. So Feathers and Flesh, okay, it was going to be a concept album, but we had no idea what we were doing. So that was the journey led to the title and what we ended up having. Avatar Country, we had a plan. And because we had such a plan with that, I think we were all kind of bored with plans. So then Hunter Gatherer became way more. Everybody writes songs. Let's see what we got. Let's see what it becomes, because it always becomes something. Because there is that whatever exchange of ideas and period in your lives and everything. So it will turn into something. But we discovered throughout that album what that was. Dance Devil Dance being the pandemic album, I think gave us a little more time to think about what we want to do and talk about the music and not just make it. So that again became, we had a title before we were in the studio. We had some certain ideas that we had agreed on what the songs, how they should be made, the songs. Um, and now again, Don't Go in the Forest. I think we were all a bit more free. Everybody write your best ideas and let's pick each other's, our favorites of. I pick my favorites of yours ideas. You guys pick your favorites of mine, and what will it end up being? And then, of course, because it's written in a certain period of our lives and everything, and so it will have certain musical sensibilities because of that, because what people are listening to or what they're playing, what's inspiring them, and also lyrically, whatever's going on in life. The method shapes the concept in a way. But it was really the last day of vocals, so literally the last day in the studio, where it's like, yeah, pretty much. I think John was there and says, "So what's we gonna name it?" And I say, "Ah, shut the fuck up. Do we have to name it something?" And and then just by looking at what we have and song titles and everything, you kind of, yeah, yeah, don't go in the forest. That's good. That's what this is. Well, and then you talk it through, and it became very easy to visualize this album with that. So the album cover and a lot of conceptual things around it. So there's that. It was the last thing we did was naming it. I mean, you first make the baby, then you name it. When it comes out, like who are you?
And right now, talking about the bass in this album,
Mhm.
and the bass in Avatar is always very present. We are always listening the bass lines. So how did you approach writing these bass lines for such this album, a dark and
So Jonas, Tim, and Johannes obviously write like most of the guitar riffs and also a lot of the bass, and they're doing a really good job with it. But I guess then what I do is I change it up and add things that I think serve the song right, whatever that is. Like if it's slapping or yeah, whatever fits the song. And then I, of course, like care a lot about the sound as well, the distortion, and how to make it fit in the mix.
Mm.
And Jay Ruston, our producer, he's also a bass player, so that helps for making it sound good in the mix. And his ideas are great as well.
Yeah, I think what we do when writing, or I speak for myself, but I think we're all a bit like that nowadays. Same approach when writing songs too, with the bass as the drums, that I usually either keep it very simple on purpose, to hopefully to give that room, or we have a very specific idea for a certain thing, like here it has to be like this. But otherwise, usually like yeah, to kept kind of try to keep it rudimentary to a certain degree, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I like it that way. Like
yeah.
to have room to come up with crazy stuff.
Mm,
If there needs to be crazy stuff,
mm.
or sometimes it's less is more, of course. Like just keeping it simple is the best for the song in many times.
Kind of the secret to good bass arrangements very often, like that's the
Yeah,
magic of that instrument. I
and
remember that.
I think I realized that more and more
Mm.
during the years. Like you don't really have to overthink as much as maybe I and we have sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And
yeah.
it's like I just rem
Scaling down instead of scaling up is something
exactly.
I do sometimes as well.
Exactly. I just remember I used to live with another friend who's also multi-instrumentalist guy, but mainly a bass player. And we would jam just stuff when we were home. And often he would play bass and I would play guitar. But then we had that moment when I was playing on his bass and I was playing guitar, and I just go boom, like, oh, music, like how much music is in a bass and the role that the bass has with while sometimes doing very little. It's already there, you
Mhm.
know?
A pause is also a part of a bass line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I think we learned to write pauses into the bass around hunter-gatherer, if even.
Mhm.
Like I feel like it took a long time for us to wait, instead of doing do 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 do, what if you do 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 what? And we finally learned something that people have known in rock and roll since the 50s. We know it
Yeah.
now. Because we started our bass, when we started and to learn to play together, our bass players were in bands like Cannibal Corpse and Cryptopsy, and was a lot of that. And then you add like Henrik, of course, starting to play bass and be a teenager. There's a lot of Primus talk. There are all those kind of bass stuff, and we like that. But then you can kind of put it in where we want it, where we need it.
And talking about the band is a very powerful live band. I saw you
Mm.
guys opening the concert for Iron Maiden in 2019 here in Brazil.
Hmm.
So about these songs, were these songs written already thinking about how they would work in a live way? Or yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You mean when writing the music?
yeah.
Uh, yes
Yeah.
and
Yes and no.
no. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I think, which I think it ends up there. I think what we like to achieve on an album is very close to, the energy we want in music. There is energy we want in on stage as well. Then, of course, in the studio, we bring in the guy who played the trumpet. We bring in a choir. Bring in people we cannot afford to bring on the road, so to speak. Now, of course, you can have things in tracks, and we do. Uh, but all that being said, that we still, I think, almost always when we write our songs, there are exceptions, but that there should or always there should be this core of a song that sounds like something when five guys just stand in a room and play it together. So then those fundamentals means that also the more elaborate stuff we do, I think, translates to the stage pretty easily. Um, but beyond that, I mean, the song is the song, and the song needs to be the song, uh, and then I think the whole live approach happens very organically once we finally get a chance to bring it on stage and get to know the song on stage, because that's also a psychological thing that happens.
And talking about two songs, the first one is Captain Goat, and the other one
Mhm.
is Death and Glitz. They have very striking titles. So, how
Mhm.
important is the humor for you when telling darker stories?
Well, I don't know. Like I think I don't know if it's important to do what seems right at any given time. And I was actually So there's this Swedish metal magazine who the same guy has been interviewing me so many times in a row now. So basically, when we talked now for this album, we just kept the conversation going from where we were the last time. And when he and I spoke, and just trying to understand what kind of band is Avatar, because we're not uh, we have a lot of fun and do like to do funny things, right? Oh yeah, thumbs up. I hate this happens all the time. Uh, so we like to do those things, but we are also dead serious in different ways or deeply personal and all that. And there's that weird clash that I feel like it's not super normal for other bands to have. But then this guy brought up that we are kind of like Halloween in that sense, which made a lot of sense to me. I mean, musically, they're a huge influence, at least on me, but musically, otherwise, of course, they're in a different style of metal. But the fact that Eagle Fly Free and Keeper of the Seven Keys are on the same album as Rise and Fall and Dr. Steen, right? So nothing is necessary. Nothing has to be there unless we want it to be, but a lot of different things are allowed. And in terms, yeah, Captain Goat, yeah, playful way to talk about Satan, because I think also Satan is a thing to be playful with, as we can freely always define what that means to any given person. So that is one way of having fun with it, I guess. And then Death and Glitz, yeah, those, people said that people didn't like my idea of naming the song Death and Tits. So, so it's a compromise.
And to finish, the last question is, what do you still want to explore next as a band? What about the future?
Oh,
We have big plans,
mhm.
but what can we say about that?
Nothing.
No,
Spoilers right now.
We will tell you
no,
nothing, but we have so many things ahead. Like we right now, we need to in our public life, we really need to focus because this is what happens, right? You have the recording artist and songwriter in hats or part of the brain, whatever you want to call it, and then you have the performing artist that goes out in the world, and they kind of and as songwriters and recording artists, this we're done with this album. But that means that we give Don't Go in the Forest to the performers who now is like, oh, what's this? What can we do? And yeah, we have only played 26 shows so far, so we have 300 more shows to go before it's time to record the next album. And so a lot of things will happen. But in the meantime, there's a little gnome sitting in the back of our heads being very bored and very restless and full of ideas. And we have some particularly good ideas, but that is for a different day. And we'll talk about it 2, 3 years or something, I guess.
So I hope to see you here in South America. Let's wait for it.
Oh, well, South
yeah,
America though. Yeah, we are we're working on it and it's definitely happening, but someone will spank me if I say something too soon, and I'm not into that.
So thank you. Thank you.